What is going on, everybody, and welcome to a brand new video on my channel. My name is Sean, aka Elite, and today I've got a big video on a tier list that I created, overrated or underrated, on the top 100 rated players confirmed by EA in FIFA 22 Ultimate Team. These are the official ratings, and I thought the coolest way to bring them to you would be a tier list. But, spoiler alert, with a tier list, you are going to hear my opinions on the ratings of certain cards. So if you don't do too well with differing opinions, I would highly suggest you click off this video and head back to Twitter, because you are going to have to be a little bit mature about it in the comment section down below. I don't want you guys calling each other idiots over what rating you think Paul Pogba should be. Guys, it is not that deep. As I said, I created this tier list, so I'll leave the link to it down below so you guys can participate as well. So I've got 5 different sections: overrated, slightly overrated, properly rated, slightly underrated, and underrated. So the ones in the middle, like properly rated, I think EA hit on the nose. They got it right. Slightly overrated and slightly underrated means I think that EA, I understand where they're coming from, but I would have done it. I would have personally done a rating higher or a rating lower. And then for the overrated and underrated, I think that EA definitely got it wrong, and I think that they should be a different rating for sure. So that's kind of where I'm at with the slightly overrated, slightly underrated type deal. First up, we've got Messi and Lewandowski. Those are the 2 highest rated players in the game, and I think EA got those ratings correct. They're the 2 players that are really in the running for the Ballon d'Or this year, so I think that those being the highest rated cards, that's pretty accurate. So I've got them at properly rated. And then our first player that isn't properly rated, I'm going to go with Mbappe at overrated. And I know that EA had to juice him because he is the cover star, all right? If he's on the cover, they need him to be a really good player in the game. It's just marketing, okay? But he's overrated. I think he should definitely be 89 or 90. I would have put 90 at slightly overrated. I would have put 89 probably as properly rated. That might be a little bit harsh, but 91, I mean, being the same rating as Neymar, his teammate, I don't think that's fair, because if you watch them both play at the exact same time, I think you can tell Neymar is a level above, and I think that should show in the ratings in FIFA, but I get why EA went 91 rating on Mbappe. Next up, we've got Kevin De Bruyne. I think he's properly rated. I think Jan Oblak is properly rated, and I think Neymar is properly rated as well. Next up, we've got a very controversial one, obviously, with Cristiano Ronaldo and Messi's rating probably as well. There's always going to be controversy. This year, they downgraded him from 92 to 91, which I think is slightly harsh, which is why I'm going to put him in slightly underrated. He could have been 92 rated again, and I don't think too many people would have complained. Obviously, Manchester United fans were really unhappy with him being 91 rating. I get it. I think that if he stayed at Juventus, then probably less backlash would have come to EA with a 91 rating. But overall, he could have definitely stayed 92 rated. It's Cristiano Ronaldo, after all, one of the greatest of all time. Next up, we've got Ter Stegen, who is definitely going in that top tier, which is overrated. No doubt in my mind, he is overrated. I don't know how he got a 90 rating again this year. I think even Barcelona fans in Germany and German people probably agree. Definitely overrated. I think he should probably be like 86 rated. Yeah, he might be the most overrated player in the video. Not gonna lie to you. So Neuer, next up, I'm gonna go slightly underrated, because I think he's the best goalkeeper in the world. I think he should at least be even with Jan Oblak in terms of rating. I get why they went 90 rated for him. He did get an upgrade. I think he should be 91. Or at the very least, just be tied with Oblak either way. He should be the highest rated goalkeeper in the game, is what I'm saying. So I think slightly underrated for Neuer. Next up, we've got Harry Kane, which is a tough one. I actually predicted 89 on this card, but I totally get the upgrade. So I'm going to go with properly rated on him. Next up, we've got Golo Kante. A lot of people might say he didn't deserve the upgrade because of the fact that he was inconsistent last year, which is true, but he really turned up for the Champions League, especially in the later rounds, and I think that without him, they wouldn't have ended up winning it all. So I'm going to go properly rated on him as well. Heung-Min Son, that's a tough one. That is a very tough one. Now, for me, I'm between properly rated and slightly overrated for me. 89 rating on Heung-Min Son, that is a lot. Oh, This is going to be one of the tougher choices I think I have. I might have a lot of them that end up being in between slightly overrated and properly rated. I'm going to slap him here just because I don't have anybody in that column yet. So I'm going to slap him there. I think 88 would have been fair. I think his card is awesome, and I think he probably deserves it. Maybe 88. Maybe 88 is all I'm saying. Next up, we've got Van Dijk, who I'm going to put in slightly underrated. I totally get why they downgraded him. He didn't play at all last year, but let's be real. He's the best defender in the world. You know, he is so good, and he's come back, and he's already been awesome. So I think he deserved to stay. I think he deserved the downgrade. He didn't play. They've always downgraded players that are injured, but I totally think that he is the best defender in the world still. So 90 rating, 91 rating. I wouldn't argue either. So 89, slightly underrated for me. Next up, we've got Mohamed Salah. I'm going to go underrated fully. I think EA got this wrong. They downgraded him. He was Liverpool's best player last year. I think that he definitely didn't deserve a downgrade. I think he was closer to deserving an upgrade than a downgrade. I think they should have kept his rating the same. He's underrated. I don't think EA got that right at all. I think he definitely didn't deserve a downgrade. Next up, we've got Kibo Courtois, 89 rating. If you compare that card to Ter Stegen, he's underrated. But I think Ter Stegen is more overrated than Courtois is underrated. So I'm going to go properly rated on Courtois. Next up, we've got Kimmich. Ooh, I can't really let my Dortmund bias set in. I really do not like Kimmich as a player, as a Dortmund fan. I'm going to put properly rated. I wanted to put slightly overrated, but I'll save myself some slack in the comments. I'll keep him at properly rated. Next up, we've got Edison. I'm going to go slightly underrated on Edison. I think that he's a top 3 goalkeeper in the world. His distribution is actually insane. I don't think he gets enough credit for that. And also, he is one of the best goalkeepers just in general. So I think he should be 90 rated. Next up, we got Donnarumma. I'm going to go slightly overrated. I think he is one of the best goalkeepers in the world still, and he is rated very high because of that. But 89 rating is pushing it for me. He was 85 in FIFA 21. I think he deserved the upgrade. He was actually subject to go up by +1 in the database, and then I actually put him at +2. I think 87 or 88 would have been fair. I think 89 is an insane upgrade. I can't say he doesn't deserve it. I do think it's slightly overrated, though. I think that was a big boost. He did win Euros. He was the star there, but wow, that's a lot of upgrade in 1 year. That's all I'm saying. Next up, we've got Edison. Alisson's a tough one. I'm going to go with properly rated on him. I think 89 is fair. He didn't have a great year last year, and I believe he did get a -1 downgrade, so I think that's fair. I don't think he deserved more of a downgrade than that. Next up, we got Casamiro. I'm going to go slightly overrated on Casamiro. You guys might say, oh, you don't understand how much of a backbone he is in the midfield for Real Madrid. I mean, without him, none of this works. Well, nothing worked for Real Madrid last year. Nothing did. I think he deserves a -1 on his card. And I think that way for a lot of the Real Madrid players, bar Kareem Benzema. I think he's slightly underrated. So, for the Real Madrid fans that were mad at me, hopefully this makes up for it. I think Kareem Benzema should be high rated. I think he deserved an upgrade going into this year. Other than Lionel Messi, he was the best player in La Liga, and I think that he's been really overlooked for a long time. I think he kind of lived in Ronaldo's shadow for a while, and ever since Ronaldo left, he has really taken over that attack for Real Madrid. Next up, we've got Sadio Mane. I'm going to put him in overrated up top. While Salah is underrated, Mane is overrated. There is no doubt in my mind that Salah is the better winger from Liverpool, and it should show. One of those guys is the wrong rating at the very minimum. I think Salah should go up a rating. I think Mane should go down a rating. That's my opinion. Mane 88, Salah 90. That makes a lot more sense to me. Next up, we've got Toni Kroos. I kind of want to put him in slightly overrated at this point. It's one of these two for me. Same with Heung-min Son. Yeah, I'm going to put him in slightly overrated. For his Euros performance, I thought he was going to be one of the best players in the Euros. I thought he was going to be Germany's star. I thought he was going to be the one to kind of prove the doubters wrong about Germany this year. He didn't. Real Madrid had a bad year. Germany had a bad year, and he just stepped up in neither of those cases, in my opinion. I don't think he deserves to stay 88 rated after that year. I think he's still one of the best midfielders of our generation. I think he was probably underrated for a lot of his career. I think heading towards the end of it, I think he probably deserved a -1 this year. Next up, we got Sergio Ramos. I think that's fine at 88. I think staying at 89 would have been fine too. I think 88 was fine as well. I'm going to go with properly rated on Ramos. Next up, we've got Kelor Navas. And in his career, overall, slightly underrated. He got replaced by Gianluigi Donnarumma this time, but he got replaced by Courtois at Real Madrid, and neither of those times was he performing poorly. I think that he deserved better in his career, so just in that case, I'm going to put him at slightly underrated. Maybe his rating's fair, but just in his career in general, slightly underrated. Next up, we've got Suarez. I'm going to go ahead and put Suarez at properly rated. He got the upgrade he deserved. You could argue 89 as well on him. Next up, we've got Bruno Fernandez. That's one of the more controversial ones because obviously Manchester United fans definitely wanted him to be higher rated. It's a tough one. I think 88 is fair. I think you could argue 89 on him as well. So I'm going to put him in slightly underrated. I don't think you can argue underrated for sure. I can't say EA got it wrong, but I definitely could see the argument for 89 on that card. Next up, we've got Lukaku, who I'm going to put at properly rated as well. 88 is fair. I think his card stats are underrated. I think his overall is correct. I think his individual stats, they definitely should have been higher. Next up, we've got Raheem Sterling. That one is a very tough one for me. Raheem Sterling, 88. Wow. I think, he was England's, number one choice for winger. I think he is still Manchester City's number one choice at winger. There's a reason that Pep Guardiola and Gareth Southgate love him so much. I think he's properly rated. Next up, we've got Erling Haaland. I'm going to put him at underrated. All right. Yes, I'm a Dortmund fan. Yes, I am biased here, but I think he is the only player above the age of 19 years old, because technically anybody 19 or below could potentially do this. He's the only player above 19 years old that have the potential of reaching Messi and Ronaldo levels. Do I think he'll do it? No, I don't think anybody will. But he's the only one that could. He's on pace, okay? And he's 21 years old. He is tearing it up. I think he's a top 3 striker in the world without any doubt. I think you could argue top 2. I think you could argue number 1, but I think Lewandowski still edges him out. But he is massively underrated for me. I think 89 or 90 should be in the conversation. If Mbappe is 91, I think Haaland should be higher. Next up, we've got Di Maria, 87. I'm going to go properly rated. He didn't have a great start to last year. I think he was still good for PSG. He did get a team of the season in FIFA, of course. And then also for Argentina, he was doubted a lot. He didn't get a lot of starts, but then when he went into the matches, or when he did start, he was arguably the best player at certain times during those games, and he did score the winner in Copa America final. I think he's properly rated. If he didn't end his season the way he did, I would have gone downgrade. I don't think he deserves one. I think he's properly rated at 87. Trent Alexander-Arnold, he's properly rated. Still one of the best fullbacks in the world. Liverpool had a tough season. It's very hard to play when you don't have Van Dijk behind you, when you're used to having Van Dijk behind you. He's already started this season very well. Next up, we've got Wojciech Szczesny, which is a tough one. Piemonte Calcio or Juventus didn't have a great year last year. I'm going to go slightly overrated. I think goalkeepers in general, there was a lot of goalkeepers overrated. I think they've really boosted these goalkeepers in ratings that are ridiculous at some point. So I'm going to go slightly overrated on him. Ciro Immobile, he had a great season 2 years ago. He didn't have quite the season last year. I think 87 is fair. I would go slightly overrated maybe, but I'm going to go 87 is fair on his card. Next up is Sergio Aguero. I'm going to go overrated on that card. I think he deserved a bigger downgrade than a -2. I think he should have been 85 rated this year. He definitely doesn't deserve to be 87 rated. As much as I love him, he is an absolute legend. He didn't play last year. Like, he really didn't play. For Manchester City, he didn't get time. For Argentina, he didn't get time. He is... I don't like to use this word at all, but washed. He's reached the end of his career, all right? He went to Barcelona just to end his career playing with Lionel Messi, which would have been awesome, but then he got kind of screwed there, and now he's hurt again. I don't know what he's doing to stay this high rating. I think EA are just like, we can't downgrade him that much in 1 year. I think he didn't do anything at all in the last 12 months. Nothing. So I don't know if 87 rating is fair, so I'm going to go overrated on him. Marquinhos, properly rated. He's been awesome. Ooh, Ruben Dias. I can't say that he's been overrated. Maybe slightly overrated on the rating. He got boosted so much, but he did have a great year. 87 is pushing it for me. Kind of the similar situation with Donnarumma, where they had amazing years, but they upgraded him by so much. I mean, 85 to 86, I think, would have been more fair. Next up, we've got Hugo Laurisse. 87 will go properly rated. Jadon Sancho as well, properly rated at 87. He had a good year last year, for sure. But I think he had the year you would expect an 87 rated card to have. Next up, we got Paul Pogba, properly rated as well, 87. Next up is Verratti. Ooh. Yeah, I definitely can't say overrated on him. I think he's had one of the more underrated careers. I don't think last year was one of his better years, though. But he did win Euros with Italy. That's one of the ones I'm not sure about. Let me know about Verratti down below. I'm not sure about that one. Next up, we got Frankie de Jong. I think he's slightly underrated. I think that he actually could have gotten an 88. I think he was, despite Barcelona having, they've had a tough couple of months and a tough year overall. They're not the team they used to be. I think Frankie de Jong is one of their shining lights. I think him and Pedri right now are kind of the backbone. And they are the ones that they should be very, very happy to have right now. Next up, we got Thomas Muller. I think he's slightly underrated. Thomas Muller's always been underrated in terms of stats in FIFA. They always do him dirty there, and they've done him dirty again. Thomas Muller has been one of the best playmakers in Bundesliga history. Obviously, it's easier when you're passing to Lewandowski, but I mean, he is breaking assist records right now. And he's just not getting the credit he deserves. Next up, we've got Paulo Dybala. I'm going to go overrated. I was going to go slightly overrated. I decided overrated. He shouldn't still be 87 rated. He's getting phased out of the system at Juventus. He has not had... he's not lived up to the potential that he had. He was very, very high rated in the last couple of FIFAs. He should be getting downgraded a little bit farther. I mean, he only even played in like half of the matches last year, let alone start. So I don't think he deserves to stay 87 rated. Leon Goretzka, I'm going to go properly rated on him. As you can see, there's going to be most of the cards in properly rated. You got to understand that EA aren't going to get all these cards wrong. So Leon Goretzka there. Luka Modric, I'm going to go properly rated on him. Andrew Robertson, I'm going to go slightly overrated. I think that Trent is better than Alexander-Arnold. I'm just kind of comparing him to the other fullback on Liverpool, similar to like Mane and Salah. They shouldn't be the same rating. I think Trent's better. Next up, we got Cohen Casteels. He got a big boost from 83 to 86. I don't know about that. I mean, he was good last year, and Wolfsburg are off to an unbelievable start to this season as well. I mean, they look very, very good. So I'm between properly and slightly overrated. I should have added another category in between slightly overrated and properly rated, where it's just like, I don't know. That should have been that should have been the section right in between these two, because I've got like 3 different cards that I'm not sure if they're slightly overrated or properly rated. Next up, we got Parejo. I think he's properly rated. I think he's awesome. I think he's actually an insanely good midfielder. But EA always really terrible stats in game, so he won't be usable. Next up, we got Rodri. That's a tough one. I think, properly rated is probably fair on 86. Gerard Moreno, he had a great year last year in La Liga. I wish he would have turned up a little bit more for the Spanish national team during Euros. I think he was a little underwhelming there, so part of me wants to go slightly overrated, and actually I'm going to move him there. 86 is pushing it on Moreno for me, despite the fact that he did great in La Liga. Next up is Mahrez. I'll go properly rated on Mahrez. He's still Algeria's best player. He is still, used at Manchester City, but with the rotation that Pep Guardiola uses, he's kind of been screwed by that a little bit, but not nearly as much as Bernardo Silva. Next up, we've got Hummels at 86 rating. I'm going to go properly rated on Hummels. I was going to go slightly underrated, but he did get torched by Mbappe, and you can't forget that. Then again, he did get back and make that tackle. but wow, he is slow. I mean, he is slow, but in terms of playmakers, he's one of the best playmaking center backs in the world for sure. I mean, his distribution skills are next to none. So he's great. I would go either properly rated or slightly underrated. Next up, we've got Skriniar. I'm gonna go properly rated on him. On Thiago, I'm gonna go overrated on Thiago. 86 rating after really not getting much time for Liverpool last year. He played for Spain, wasn't a standout for me. I think he deserves a downgrade. Next up, we've got Chiellini. I'm going to go slightly underrated on Chiellini. Yes, he's getting old, EA, but he's still great. He's old but gold. Chiellini, he's one of the best center backs of our generation. So I'm going to go slightly underrated. As opposed to Thiago Silva, I think Chiellini's still got it. Thiago Silva is a great center back. He's one of the best of our generation. I think he's lost a lot of that skill over time, just as he gets older. He's you know, they're both nearing 40. So it's gonna fade away. And I think it has done so more for Thiago Silva than Chiellini. João Cancelo, I'm going to go slightly overrated on him. I think 84, 85 was fair. 86 is pushing it for me, especially given the fact that, I mean, again, Pep's rotation kind of screws him. He's been good for Portugal. I think he's one of the more saucy fullbacks. He's got the agility, he's got the dribbling, he's got the composure. But has he played enough? I don't know. Next up, we've got Llorente, who I think is properly rated. That guy was insane last year. And his card is going to be one of the most expensive starter cards in the game. He had an 86 rating. It is, you know, higher rated than most starter cards, but still, unbelievable card. I think he probably should have been a center forward. He played most of the season there last year. They put him at center mid. You can just change him to center forward. Doesn't mean too much because of the position change cards. Next up, we've got Vardy, who, you know what, I'm going to put slightly underrated. His consistency has been unbelievable. I mean, I thought he was going to be a one-season wonder back in 2016 when Leicester won the title. Then Mahrez and Kante left, and he has still been unbelievably good. I mean, he is such a talent. I think EA have been really slow to upgrade his cards, and I think he deserves that 87 at least by now. Next up, we've got Handanovic. We're going to slap him in properly rated. Next up, we've got Kingsley Coman. He definitely deserved the upgrade. Where did Coman go? Oops. Properly rated. He definitely deserved the upgrade. He's not a finisher like Gnabry is. He doesn't score quite as many goals, but his playmaking ability, his ability to beat a fullback, I think is one of the best in the world. You know, I could compare him to literally Lionel Messi in terms of the way he beats a fullback on the dribble. I mean, he beats the fullback on the dribble consistently and gets that cross into Lewandowski. He's got quite a few assists to Lewandowski. It is easy to cross it in to Lewandowski. I get that. It does help him boost his stats a little bit, but he is quite the talent, and there's no hiding the fact that he has won like 10 of the last 10 titles for each team he's played with. Then again, he has played for PSG, Juventus, and Bayern, so that does help. Next up, we've got Laporte from apparently Slovenia. Please note that I had to create 100 cards. There were bound to be a couple mistakes. Laporte is from France, by the way, if you didn't know. I think 86 rated is fair for him. Don't know why Oblak's country is on that card. Is Oblak's country? Is that Oblak's country? Yeah, that's Oblak's country. Okay, Slovakia and Slovenia are tough. Okay, I forget their country flag. Next up, we've got the hamster god Insigne, 86 rating on his card. We're going to slap him in properly rated. Next up, we've got Busquets. I think he's losing a lot of that. That class that he once had, but still one of the best, probably the best defensive mid. I'm going to say best defensive mid of our generation, but nearing the end of his career for sure. Next up, we got Jordy Alba. I'll slap him in properly rated as well. And then for Fabinho, I think slightly underrated. I think he still had a great season last year. I don't know why they downgraded him. I think that he still deserved to be at 87. Next up, we've got Varane, who I'm going to slap at properly rated. Koulibaly, 86. Definitely got really hyped up for a few years at Napoli. Didn't have quite the season they were hoping for last year. Next up, we've got De Ligt, who had one great year at Ajax, but has not proven it yet for me at Juventus. I'm going to go overrated on De Ligt. Still a very good young talent. He's got a lot of time to prove himself. I'm going to go overrated. Next up, we're going with one of the few players that I can put in green, which is underrated. We've got De Vrij. De Vrij, I could argue, is the best defender in the league, and he's still only 85 rated here. I think De Vrij is better than Skriniar, who's on the same team. I think De Vrij is one of the most underrated defenders in the world. We're going to go ahead and slap him at underrated there. Next up, we've got Memphis De Pai, who, you know what, I'm going to put him in green as well. De Pai has had an unbelievable season for Lyon, and he has been popping off for Netherlands as well. And now his transfer to Barcelona is only going to help him being in the spotlight and prove himself there. He's underrated for sure. Should be 86. Next up, we got Firmino. I'm going to go properly rated on him. I know Firmino was not happy with that downgrade. He might be slightly underrated. Maybe that was a harsh downgrade, but I'm going to slap him there in the middle. Next up, we've got Gomez. I'm going to go slightly underrated because he was great at Atalanta, one of the key pieces there, and he made a mid-season transfer to Sevilla, which is very hard to adapt. When you get a January transfer from one league to the other, I mean, you can't expect him to adapt immediately and just be putting up numbers. You know, he's not Messi or Ronaldo, all right? You can't expect him to be immediately impacting a team. It takes a little bit to adapt, so I think it was harsh to downgrade him. Next up, we've got Serge Gnabry at 85, I think is fair. He's been very good for Bayern recently. Next up, we've got Gundogan, who I think is slightly underrated. He had an unbelievable season last year for Manchester City. He was, I believe, the top scoring midfielder in the league other than Bruno Fernandez. So I think we're going to go ahead and slap him at slightly underrated there. Griezmann, I think, will have a great year at Atletico Madrid. I think he's going to go back up in rating, but let's be real. Barcelona, for the last year, it's been pass it to Messi and hope for the best. They have not been good, and Griezmann definitely didn't have a great season, and obviously in Euros, not too great for France either. Gulacsi, I'm going to go slightly overrated on Gulacsi. He's been super hyped up for years now. Every time I've watched him in Bundesliga, I haven't seen what other people see in Gulacsi. I think he's a good goalkeeper. I think he's a top 5 goalkeeper in Bundesliga. I don't think he's anything great. Maybe an 83 or an 84 for me. Next up, we've got Hakimi, who I'm super happy they put at right back this year. He's going to be a lot more usable at that position. Next up, we've got Eden Hazard, who, again, the flag is messed up. He is not from Germany. Maybe just turn the flag sideways. Use your imagination. We're going to go properly rated on him. He hasn't really adapted well to his transfer from Chelsea to Real Madrid, and it's been 2 years now. So time's ticking. He's got to make something click there, or he is really going to fall off. Next up, we got Jorginho. I'm going to slap him in slightly underrated. I think he's been a key factor to Italy and Chelsea's success in the last year. I think he deserves to be upgraded a little bit higher. I think his penalty taking technique is awesome, but I think goalkeepers are starting to figure that out now. You've seen Sommer really got him a couple weeks ago in the World Cup qualifiers. Next up, we've got Koke. We're going to slap him in properly rated. He's been 85 rated for the last few FIFAs. I think, to be fair, that's probably accurate. Next up, we've got Lotaro Martinez at 85 rated. He was a little overshadowed in the last year by Lukaku, still getting a +1, which I think is fair. I think now that Lukaku's gone and he's the main man, he's going to shine. Next up, we've got Cavani, who I'm going to go slightly overrated. 85 rating. I mean, he's been holding on to this upper 80s rating for a while, yet he has not done much ever since he left PSG, and I just don't see his contribution to Manchester United being that strong either, and he's been hurt a lot too, so I think slightly overrated for him. Milinkovic-Savic has been good for Lazio, just a consistent player. Ndidi, I'm going to slap at properly rated, and I understand that the tier list is getting quite long here, so you probably can't see everything. Oyarzabal at 85 rating. Yeah, properly rated. Next up, we've got Marcus Rashford. We'll slap in properly rated. We're going to go slightly underrated for Marco Reus, and this has nothing to do with the fact that he is my favorite player of all time. But let's be real. He's got a lot of young players around him. Erling Haaland, Giovanni Reina, Jude Bellingham. Daniel Malin's not too old either, and he's kind of the veteran that is really getting the most out of these players. I mean, a lot of the success of Bellingham, Reina, and Haaland has been from the strings that Marco Reus pulls from the 10. So I think Marco Reus is slightly underrated in that aspect. Next up, we've got Schmeichel, who I'm going to slap at properly rated. Overrated, I'm going to go with Bernardo Silva. He's been really rotated out of Pep's system now. He's not really getting any time. He's kind of playing in the cup matches for Manchester City. He's good. 86 rating is pushing it for me. Next up, we've got Thiago Silva. I kind of foreshadowed this pick here from Thiago Silva, where I think that, there are other players on Chelsea who are better than him, like Christensen, who is only 80 rated, right? Christensen's only 80 rated, while Thiago Silva's 85. That just doesn't sit right for me. So I think both Christensen's underrated, and I think Thiago Silva overrated. Not as a player. Thiago Silva's fantastic and has been fantastic. He's getting to the end of his career, though. There's no doubt. Next up, we've got David Silva. I want to say slightly overrated, and I have in the past, but people have kind of berated me for that and said, well, David Silva, even though he left Manchester City, he's still got all the class, and he's been really good for Real Sociedad, so I'll slap him in the middle. Fine. All right. Next up, we've got Sommer, who is definitely underrated for me. He's going to be one of the few players in that category down there. In underrated, he has been unbelievable for both Gladbach and for Switzerland. One of the best goalkeepers in the world. In fact, I think that he's the second best goalkeeper in Bundesliga after Neuer, of course. And I just don't understand how Cohen Casteels is higher rated than him. That blows my mind. I know people don't like packing Jan Sommer, but that man has been nothing but extraordinary. So I don't know why he's only 85 rating. Next up, we got Kyle Walker, properly rated for him. Carvajal, properly rated. Bonucci, we're no properly rated for Bonucci. Could go slightly underrated on him like I did Chiellini. Next up, we've got Aubameyang, who got a big downgrade, and I think that's properly rated. I was kind of expecting him to go all the way down to 84 rated, but he didn't. 85 rating for him, which I think is fair. Next up, we've got David Alaba, who I'm going to go slightly overrated. Back in his day, best left back in the world at one point. Kind of got moved to center back, which he doesn't really like playing, I've heard. Now he's moving to Real Madrid, who he could actually be a factor for that team, given the fact that they lost Ramos and Varane in the same season. But I know he doesn't like playing center back, and he's not like fast enough to be a world-class left back anymore, but he's also not like big enough to be a world-class center back. So he's kind of caught in between two worlds in two positions. I think that if he kind of like maybe tried out that CDM position like he played for Austria for so long, maybe he'd have some success. But then again, those professional managers know a little bit more than me. Last two cards is Nico Barella and Luke Shaw. Barella at 84, we're going to slap it properly rated, and Luke Shaw properly rated as well. So that completes our tier list. There you have it, guys. All of the top 100 rated players in FIFA 22 Ultimate Team. I know it was a longer video, but we had 100 players to get through. If you guys made it to the end of this video, I want to applaud you for that. That is very impressive because this is one of my longest videos I've ever done. And if you did make it to the end, comment down the word Kiwi. Kiwi down below, so I know you made it to the end of the video. I'll make sure to reply and leave a heart on that comment. Thank you so much for watching today, and I'm excited for FIFA 22. Only a couple days away. See you then. Peace out.